I'm standing in a really significant spot here in the San Juan Mountains in Colorado, and this is the exact spot that I've come to for years to meditate and pray and examine my life. It's a pretty spiritual place for me. And for a long time I lived my life on what felt like a hamster wheel. And guys, if you're living this way and you never feel like you can catch your breath, I want to encourage you that it doesn't have to be this way. So I want to talk to you today about traps, and here's the thing about traps. A trap never looks like a trap to the person that it intends to trap. Did you follow that? Think about it. A mouse trap doesn't look like a mouse trap to a mouse. If it did, it wouldn't be a good trap. And this is how it works for humanity as well, because there's a common trap of busyness, and it never looks like a trap to busy people. And maybe you're thinking now, am I caught in the trap of busyness? Well, here are two identifiers to help you assess this. Busy people are usually, number one, easily distracted, or number two, they're usually anxious and angry. They're worried and short-fused. And you know what distraction and anxiety lead to? They lead to ineffectiveness. And isn't this such a paradox that here we are running ourselves ragged and we're actually not accomplishing very much, or at least not enjoying the things that we're accomplishing if we are at all. So I want to encourage you to think for a moment, have I been living in a regular state of distraction, anxiety, or anger? And if that shoe fits, then I want to suggest that you might have fallen into a trap. But I want to make a practical distinction here, because I don't think that idealism is necessarily helpful. I think that we need to be honest and say up front that there will be seasons of busyness that are just unavoidable. And sometimes busy just happens to us, and we need to do our best to find our footing and find our true north again. But what we're addressing here is not temporary seasons of busyness. What I'm specifically talking about is a lifestyle of busyness. In other words, is busyness a regular day in, day out reality for you? And I want to suggest three reasons why we stay caught in this trap of busyness. It was about 6 years ago. I was an exec at a large organization, and the former CEO of a large publishing company came to speak to our team. And he described himself as having developed a hollow soul. He was detached, unavailable, mechanical. And he expressed this underlying fear that filled him back then. He said that the longer you live this way, the more fearful you become of facing what you'll find when you let the light in. And so you hide from yourself, and then you hide from those closest to you. So we get caught in the trap of busyness, and we simply don't have the time to deal with the responsibilities that accompany relational intimacy. So this leads me to the first reason that we stay caught in the trap of busyness. The first reason, I believe, is avoidance. We stay busy because we're avoiding something, and we use activity as a cover-up. Quick example, one of my college classmates was from Nigeria, and he'd only been in the States for a few months, and he picked up on what he thought was a really common American greeting. He would look at you with this big smile, and he would say, "How are you? Good?" And it was like this run-on greeting. "How are you? Good?" And you see, he'd heard so many Americans respond to the question, "How are you?" with "good," that he just thought it was all part of the same greeting. And honestly, it wouldn't be too difficult to make this mistake in our culture, right? Our token response to "how are you" is "good" or "fine." You gotta love that one, fine. Listen, fine is the relational F word. Because here's what we're conveying. Fine basically means that the deeper end of my life is closed to you. It's basically a nice way of saying, leave me alone and don't pry into my affairs. So we give an F-word response while projecting busyness. And I guess my question is, are we avoiding something or someone? Because I really think that sometimes it's like we're avoiding our own soul. And I think that we can assess that through three simple questions. Number one, do I struggle with being present in the moment? Number two, am I often angry but don't know why? And number three, do I run from situations that will reveal my imperfections? And if the answer to any of the above is yes, then we might be using busyness as avoidance. Now let's look at the second reason that we stay caught in the trap of busyness. Stay with me, this is good. The second reason is vanity. We are busy because we are vain. Put another way, we want to appear significant. And what better way to do this than to be busy? I work long hours, my schedule is overcrowded, I have enormous demands on my time, and this should prove to everyone that I am important. Friends, we live in a society that views a crowded schedule and harassed conditions as evidence of importance. For example, when you go to the doctor, you sit in the waiting room, and we hate the wait. But imagine that you walk in and you see your doctor with his feet kicked up on his desk and he's reading a book, and he jumps up and says, "Oh, good, I've been sitting here waiting for you." You probably turn around and leave thinking he isn't a very good doctor, right? Because we associate being a good doctor with a person who is pushed to the max, is running from patient to patient, even making us wait an hour to see him. And we think he must be good because he has no time. We know this is how society perceives things. And since we want to appear significant, we pack our lives to the max, and then other people notice. And they acknowledge our significance, and our vanity is fed. The busier I am, the more important I am. And now the third and final reason that we fall into a lifestyle of busyness. And this may surprise you. I think the third reason is laziness. Here's why. We are often busy because we allow other people to decide what we will do. And listen, this is so important. We let people who don't understand or even care about our purpose and our calling in life to write our agenda because we are too passive to write it for ourselves. Do you need a practical tip for this one? Get to your calendar first before they do. Friends, if we are not deliberate with the time given to us, then someone else is going to fill our time based on what they think is most important. Have you ever found yourself frantically trying to satisfy 10 different demands all at the same time, and then you realized none of these things are actually essential to my life's central purpose? Yet we do this all to avoid the disaster of disappointing someone. So would you consider these questions with me tonight? If you weren't so busy fulfilling everyone else's demands of you, what would you do? And if you were suddenly free from the bondage and vanity of people-pleasing, what would you be running after? How would you walk in your purpose? Friends, this is my heart's desire for you, is to be free from the traps in your life and to step into your purpose. I pray this over you. God bless you.